who are you and what do you do here?
Well, my name is Bowen, and I work in the weight room, which is where we are right now.
Nice. Heavy lifting. We hear you're quite the comedian. Can you share a few jokes with us?
I don't know about quite the comedian. I think kids are very polite because I'm sure that they've heard most of these jokes. I mean, they're anything from just corny dad jokes to Laffy-Taffy kind of jokes. So, I mean, I told them right front, though, I like doing the punchline. So most of them kind of play along and at least kind of like let me do the punchline. So I started out doing kind of theme jokes with the holidays. So most recently we had like St. Patrick's Day. So I like puns and kind of clever things. So where do leprechauns live?
Over the rainbow? I don't know.
In leprechaundos. Condos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a clever pun, and then I'll do, like I said, the stupid Laffy-Taffy jokes. Like today or yesterday, I did. Why did the can crusher quit his job?
Cans were too hard. I don't know.
Because it was so depressing. Some of you have to think a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
So depressing.
That's the kind of lame humor I do.
Well, that's fun, and you seem like a fun guy, so it works. Why do you start your class with jokes? Just because it's fun?
Well, it kind of came out of, I used to do them every now and then, like a couple of years ago, and I would just kind of like think of something and tell it, but it became a regular thing after talking to like Mr. Zentz and Mr. Johnston as we got into the COVID era and had to kind of do things online. Okay, how do you kind of hook kids in? How do you make it at least, if they're not showing up, because PE online was really tough. So okay, at least show up, I'm going to talk a little bit, play a little bit of music, tell this stupid joke of the day, at least to kind of hook them in a little bit, and maybe they'll show up just for that. And then maybe we'll get some work done too. So it kind of started that way, and then when we got into full-time school this year, I just decided I'm going to keep going with it. So I don't think them up. I look them up. I mean, there's all kinds of sites with these things.
Yeah.
And kids ask me, how do you remember those? I don't remember them. As a matter of fact, I forget them almost as soon as I tell them. But that's okay.
You have them.
So I stuck with it, and now it's kind of come a thing.
Yeah, it's the allure.
Well, at least, or just laugh with me, laugh at me. I don't care.
So you did do jokes during the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And did they hit well?
It's hard to know because a lot of kids didn't have their cameras on.
Yeah.
But the students that would, I would get about half each class, which was a lot better than some classes. You could kind of, every now and then you get the eye roll and the head shake, right? Which is expected. I still get those.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'd get a little clap up in the, happy in the chat, or, a little smiley face, or somebody would actually interrupt if I talked too long or played the music and kind of got into class. Somebody would interrupt and say, hey, Bo, you forgot the joke of the day. Okay, so they're paying attention at least.
Oh. So how did the pandemic play out for you other than?
Well, I think it was tough for everybody. PE online is horrible. I put together some videos, tried to put together some workouts, and I would try to lead stuff and demo stuff, and so there was tough days. And I think students that actually did show up at least appreciated the effort. Whether they were, when the ones on camera, you could actually see they were doing a little bit of movement. So okay, I'll take it. The ones off camera, you just don't know. Hopefully they got something out of it.
Maybe it was just your joke.
Maybe that might have been it.
They laughed and then they just
that might be
went
it.
and ate some popcorn.
Yeah, that could be.
When did you start teaching?
I've been at it now 33 years, 1988, 89.
So have you noticed any change in like how students are from when you started and how you teach now?
Yeah, I think so. I try to kind of weigh that out. Is it me just getting older and getting less patient, or are students really changing? I think students are very much the same. I think there's always been a little, pushback on authority. I think there's always been a little bit of that. I think it's accelerated in the last few years just because we've become so interested with keeping kids in school that we're trying to tolerate and accept behaviors that we just would not have accepted once upon a time.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse. Anyway, that's my take on it.
On the end of the year, do you get emotional seeing the seniors you've built relationships with graduate?
Yeah, a little. I've tried to go to almost every graduation. I kind of do the roll monitor thing, and Yeah, there's a few students who, through conversation or because they've been in my class, I've had a few kids who've been in class every semester. And that's kind of unusual with this elective class. But you connect with some of those guys, or guys who played football for 3 or 4 years. And it's nice to see them, at a great moment in their lives, their whole thing's ahead of them, and they kind of just reach out, shake your hand, and you kind of like, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm glad I could be a part of that and hopefully made a positive impact.
Oh. What's your take on the younger generation?
Well, the take on the young generation. I was just talking to a student about that today, and would I want to go back and be 16, 17, 18 years old? And as much as I'd love to be young again, I think I'd rather go back to my time period rather than the time period you guys live in. I think that the pressures, whether it's drugs, alcohol, tobacco, vaping now, are so intense, and social media has become such a almost an alternate existence for some students. They just don't know how to deal with the real world if they're not getting their likes on Snapchat or whatever they're doing. Their whole self-worth is kind of tied up in that, which I think is very, very sad, at the expense of relationships with actual people. So that's my take on the younger generation. I think they're so addicted to it now that it's difficult to get away from it.
Yeah, makes sense. So we'll take after that really somber take on the younger generation, we'll ask you some fun questions.
Okay, fun questions.
If you were a superhero, what would you be? Or who would you be?
Superhero.
The Hulk, because the weight room?
No, I don't think so. I wasn't really into the Marvel thing, but as I've watched those superheroes over the years, Iron Man, and maybe it's just because Robert Downey Jr. was kind of hip. He just kind of played that role kind of cool. So,
he did a good job.
Yeah, and then of course, you got a suit that just does about everything, so.
Yeah, it works. Okay. If you were to give one piece of advice to high schoolers, what would it be?
I think probably along the lines of the advice that I try to give, our football guys over the years is, if you're going to do something, do the best you can. Give it everything you got. There's nothing wrong with trying and failing, versus just being so cool you don't even want to try. And I think that's going to take people a long way in their life, because that's half the battle, is showing up and working at it.
That's true. What's your favorite movie and why?
My favorite movie, you're not going to believe this, and a lot of your the student population probably doesn't even know this movie unless they watch it at Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's a great story.
I've heard that one.
Great story of kind of the family and redemption and looking on the positive side.
That's a good movie. Yeah. That one's old though.
It's an oldie.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
That's I thought you were gonna say like Barbie or something.
Oh no.
If you were to have 3 wishes from a genie,
oh my gosh.
what are your 3 wishes gonna be?
Oh, 3 wishes. Well, gosh, the really nice thing is to talk in terms of world peace and everybody getting along, and I think those are great. But I think that people gotta have enough to eat first, so that'd be nice. Selfishly, yeah, I'd like to be comfortable. I don't need to have all the money in the world or anything like that. And then I'd try to scam them and maybe ask for 3 more wishes.
And keep going. Just ask for more and more wishes.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.